What's going on, people? TK coming at you, Master Wealth Builders here on social media, and trying to build on something that you can stand on without me getting emotionally involved, because that's the problem. When I care too much, people don't fucking hear me, and oops, everybody just gets lost. So, without labeling me stupid or a maniac or whatever, the concept that is being dismissed is that your history has been suppressed. You know, the history of our community has been suppressed, and the occupying colonialists, they basically have traded places with all of the greatness that was created by people that look like you and me. So the very first lesson that's hidden from you, or the information that is not told to you, is that Yahshua's great-great-great-great-grandmother was Ruth the Moabitess. So if Ruth was Moabitess, that means that Yahshua was also Moabitess. And essentially that connection goes straight into your blood. So with you denying your blood, your lineage, and your history, it separates you from the kingship that is in your right. So your birthright is what you deny when you call yourself something else. You know, everyone's walking around calling themselves outside of the human family, therefore they're not protected or entitled to the rights and privileges under the Constitution and Treaty that was established by our forefathers or ancestors. So that's kind of the first misconception, is denying your bloodline. I think the very next misconception and problem is that people use the surname of the Europeans that are occupying our land. So in law, when you use someone else's surname, then you're property of that person. So the first thing is separation from our history, as if we're a different people when we're not. And then the next thing is using someone else's surname as if it belongs to you when it doesn't. So those are two primary problems that we have, and the two primary items that people refuse to acknowledge. And then the next concept would be that we don't operate in trust and estate when the rest of the world does. So if you were honoring your mother or father and paying respects to your nation that you were born in, which is what the rest of the world does, then the very next step would be to protect everything that you own in a trust. And that trust builds your estate, because the world operates that way, except for the people here in Turtle Island. We're the only ones that walk around here calling ourselves something outside of the human race and don't operate in trust and estate. So the very next thing to understand would be to establish a family trust, and everything that you own, make sure that it's in the name of the trust. And if you was able to operate in your proper persona, know thyself, establish everything in trust, the very next step would be to counter all of the negative bondage that the occupying colonialists basically have against you. So the securitization that takes place, you want to counter that. And the first part of countering those bonds would be to declare your nationality, and then the next part of countering those bonds would be to submit an adverse claim, or have an adverse claim ongoing in relation to your house. If you own a house, and if you're involved in any mortgage contracts, you want to cancel that securitization on that dead pledge by rescinding your signature and setting up a adverse claim. So that would be the very next step in understanding what's really going on, and then protecting yourself, and of course having some sort of recourse to the unum sanctum policy and the doctrine of discovery that's executed to segregate and subjugate us as Moors. So if you was to acknowledge that you are a Moor, correct your political status, then of course establish a family trust, and then finally submit adverse claims, submit your reversioner statements to rescind your signature from the securitization that takes place on multiple dead pledges. So all of these are just tactics that I'm giving you guys to try to help some sort of awareness if you don't dismiss this information, and if you choose to wake up and implement something that can create change in your life. But all of these are just, I'm going to put it on the table and leave it there and let you decide what you want to do with your life.